Welcome back to Let's Play Pokemon Violet Blind. Always gotta do that to sync up the audio. Which I couldn't do last time because I was using the newer laptop, but unfortunately, with the old laptop being on its way out, on its last legs. Because here's what I'm right, I've said this in a recent recording I did yesterday for Persona 3 Let's Play. But the laptop, it opened up on the side where the charger is. I had that fixed. It's like, because that side also had it so that the monitor itself detached from that side, and it eventually just disconnected entirely. So that was fixed ages ago. And since then, it randomly started to open up again. And, the charger became dodgy. I had to move it quite a few times just to get, pick up as I was charging. And then eventually, it snapped. Literally snapped. It snapped off and came right out. So I fixed that, but the guy who did it doesn't think that the laptop's really got much left because it's basically on its last legs, literally falling apart. So I'm trying to use the newer laptop more, and last record session I did for this, which was prior to all this, the audio was kind of shit. I mean, the audio is always kind of shit, but the point is, like this, for example. Hear that sound? That is me tapping the microphone. I always do that as a test to make sure I was recording, and on the new laptop, that type of audio doesn't tend to pick up, and my voice tends to cut off a lot more. I don't know why that is, but it's annoying, so I'm still using the old laptop to record the content separately. But yeah, issues there, man. I refuse, Nintendo. I refuse. I cannot be bothered. Because that would require a freaking reset in password and stuff like that. Too tedious. And that's the thing as well, it's like Ableton and my audio interface. That's on the old laptop, but not the new laptop. I'd have to reinstall it. I'm not even sure if I even have the code and all that for Ableton. I'm like, oh, it took me just to freaking do the guitar and keyboard stuff. Ah, it's gonna suck, man. We're back in the city again. There's an outbreak of Pokemon somewhere, but I do not care. Going back to school again. And then in the evening we gotta take on the real Cassiopeia. Which Pokemon have I got? Come on, let's go to school. Is there any way to okay. Standing still, okay, that's good. Okay, so height difference. And yep, actually. So here I am standing next to my Pokemon. As you can see, it's a bit taller than me. So, god damn it, of course. I couldn't take the shot. My Pokemon's going wild. It's a little bit taller than us. We know that now. Also, I only noticed it when I uploaded the previous part. But, the director, he was using the fully evolved form of the other starter that wasn't picked. Shame we didn't get to see its, all its other forms. Look at me, this is where I am right now, in fact. Wait, really? 4'11"? And this thing's taller than us. How strange. That's not how the height works. We are standing in front of our cat technically because my leg is extended forwards. So how tall is the protagonist then? I want to know, man. How would the protagonist line up against Coon from Little Busters? What was that button? No, it wasn't that. No. No. Yeah, that's the button. Whistle. Alright. And now we look a bit taller, actually. What the? I mean, does the height also come into play with the, like, the weird mask thing? Does that count as well? If the, mask thing doesn't count and it's like at the top of the head, then we're probably around about 4'10" or 4'9" maybe. But if, the mask extension up there counts, we're probably in the mid 4 foot. Anyway, let's go to class. Good morning, biology. Can you imagine if they did the whole dissection thing as well? Like, okay, class, we're going to be dissecting a Rattata today. It's like, no we're not. It's like, I don't remember having biology class do the whole, dissection thing. And is that only like a specific school thing? Because it feels kind of weird. It's like, okay, yeah, he's learning about, anatomy and all that, but, the whole actual, literally, physically dissecting an animal seems like something that would be, optional. It's like where, a parent could be like, no, they're not doing that class. They'll do biology, but, exempt from doing that because that's just now. Hello, I hope everyone's ready to learn some new things today. You all did really great on the midterm exam. Thanks for answering my little question at the end. I'll be sure to keep your responses in mind. Alright, we're now heading into the last half of our classes. It's time for our knowledge to evolve and grow, just like our Pokemon. Evolution, yep, evolution. And that's another one. You get the other ones on a, deeply religious prayers like, no, you're not my child, my evolution. Today we're going to learn about the fascinating phenomenon of Pokemon evolution. Of course, Pokemon evolution versus, real life evolution is quite different. It doesn't work that way. It's like, oh yeah, you've gained experience and now you just transform from freaking Dragonite to freaking Dragonite. That makes sense now. As your Pokemon battle and level up, they learn moves and get stronger. It's like the one that I can think of is, wasn't there like some finches or something that were observed? And like, there were birds that all looked similar, but they had different type of beaks and stuff like that. Because they clearly had adapted to, different niches. And they probably all must have originated from the same birds, like they had a common ancestor. But they'd evolved these different adaptations. It's like evolution isn't something you can just observe and, well, that's big. There have been some cases of evolution where, in a span of a few decades, something changes drastically like that, but no, evolution isn't a fast thing, It takes time for it to really start to show. For some Pokemon, once they've leveled up enough, Their appearance changes and their stats increase, sometimes by a lot. Imagine if it was like real life with Pokemon evolution. It's like your Pokemon never really evolve, but they have like a progression system where, you know, time actually passes in the game. So like if you've been playing the game, come back to it or whatever, after a year since you last saved or whatever, they have the potential to evolve some Pokemon. That'd be insane. And even then, that would still be like, yeah, it's a bit too quickly now for evolution to kick into that degree. That's Pokemon evolution. Pokemon become very strong when they evolve, making them trusty partners in battle. Why in battle? It's like if Pokemon were real, I would like to have like, you know, I don't know, it's like, I kind of like the idea of water Pokemon, you know? Come in handy, you know? If there's, you know, a fire, got you covered. If the Pokemon's big enough and can, you know, swim and carry on its back, you're out at sea, stranded, drowning, got you covered. And I guess a fire Pokemon could also help there as well, you know, it's like, okay man, it's freaking freezing cold, it's like, Charmander, come on out with your tail. And then you got electric Pokemon, but I don't know, the electric Pokemon may be electric types, but they're not electricians, really, are they? They'll probably fry the electric worse than anything else. Well, Pokemon could be useful. Like, you know, muscular Pokemon, you know, you always see Machoke just carrying people's stuff in the games and all that, you know? Then it'd be like, you know, workers versus Pokemon. It's like, these Machokes are taking our goods. Because, you know, that's just what would happen. But some people prefer to keep their Pokemon in their adorable pre-evolved states. And that's exactly what I did whenever I'd play Misty World. Keep the starters, you know, the main characters in their original form. Evolving them just feels weird. To do this, you just need to remember a certain button when your Pokemon begins to evolve. Say it with me if you already know. To cancel evolution, press the... This is breaking the fourth wall, Professor. The B button, right? That's right, everyone. B for best answer. So, you know, if something's evolving, just press B and cancel out. So, like, that implies you have a controller. You're breaking the fourth wall, Jack. Or however your name's pronounced. Button you want when you need to stop a Pokemon from evolving is B. Press that B button. If you press this button soon after a Pokemon begins to evolve, you can stop it from changing. And it's like, but I want you to evolve. It's like, my train is like, no, you're not allowed to evolve. But I need to change. It's like, no, you must stay this way forever. You can also let the Pokemon hold an item known as an everstone to keep it from evolving. And keep in mind that the requirements for evolution differ from Pokemon to Pokemon. Some may evolve by having a certain item, such as a Firestone or a Thunderstone used on them. Others may have to learn a specific move or defeat a specific Pokemon in battle. A specific Pokemon in battle? What evolution would that be? And then there's of course the ones in breaking trades. The way Primeape evolves into an Islet is especially strange, since this is the first game that this has happened. You see, there's a certain move that gets influenced. I did hear there is a specific move, you gotta use it a set amount of times in order for it to be able to evolve. Oops, sorry, it looks like we're out of time. I think the new Girafarig evolution is similar, I think. But you gotta use a certain move a set amount of times. I guess we'll have to end the class there today. Thank you all for your attention. Also, that Noibat I've got, you know, it's already at the level that I can evolve at, so just one level will evolve. Oh, not math. Hello everyone, well done on the midterm exam. Some of you in perfect scores and others seem to have a bit of trouble, but I can tell that you all tried your best. I am quite pleased to say that every last one of you passed. I can only assume that this means you have all come to love this. Stay sharp and try your best for the rest of my classes too. Speaking of staying sharp, do you know how that word applies to Pokemon battles? That's right, it has to do with stat boosts. A Pokemon's stats can rise and fall throughout the course of battle turns. For example, if a Pokemon uses the move Work Up, its attack and special attacks will rise by 1 stage each. And as you may know, each time a Pokemon's attack or special attack rises 1 stage, moves affected by that stat will deal 50% more damage. If that same Pokemon from our previous example were to use Work Up again, both its attack and special attack have risen by 2 stages total. And if you exploit the badge, well wait, there's no badge glitch in this game. This results in a 100% increase to damage stats, making its moves twice as strong. I've still to this day never played the original Pokemon games. It's like I said, I was aware of them growing up. I saw other people play them, you know, other kids. I never got to play them myself until we got to Gen 3. I could have got Pokemon Yellow though when I got the 3DS years ago for Christmas. I'd also got, you know, Pokemon Yellow. It must have been like some kind of code, I'm not sure, but we kind of lost it or whatever. And you know, since Nintendo are like, fuck you, fuck the consumer, we've shut down the store. So I'm not sure, even if I had that bloody thing, if I could even get the damn thing now. But, you know, when you see playthroughs of like speedrunners just being like, oh, let's see how good this Pokemon is to solo the entire game, basically. And how much of that will be, you know, down to exploiting a glitch that happens when you, I'm not sure how it works. It's called the badge glitch because, like, it's somewhere between, you know, getting a new badge, I guess, and your Pokemon's levels. Something, I don't know, it's an exploit that speedrunners use and all that, where they get a significant boost to their stats. Because those early games are broken as shit, but not broken in the same way as this game is. You know, this game's just, you know, a bit buggy. The old games, though, the OG ones, they were buggy as shit. Sword Dance, on the other hand, boosts attack by 2 stages at once, allowing the Pokemon to deal double damage after just a single use. Using Sword Dance twice would boost the Pokemon's stats by 4 stages. How much more damage then would this Pokemon deal? Quadruple? Ah yes, this question is a tricky one, isn't it? Ah, not a trick questions again! Just because it boosts the Pokemon's stat by 4 stages doesn't mean damage is quadruples. Each stage that a Pokemon's attack or special attack stat is raised increases its damage by 50%. By being raised 4 stages will result in a 4 times 50% or 200% increases, and you suck at math, or maybe it's because this was also a bit of a trick question. Both apply here, obviously. The base damage of a move is 100%, so adding 200% to that gives us 300%, and you know what? That's one thing I don't really care for with Pokemon. I'm not a speedrunner, I'm not a pro Pokemon, you know, battler, you know, battling other people and stuff like that. I mean, I can't even do that. I don't have access to the online shit. But, you know, I've never really been into the competitive side of Pokemon. Not that I could really do anything with it to begin with. But, you know, I like to play through the game, do all the stuff, and fill out the Pokedex and all that, you know? And, you know, forming the team, I always keep the starter. Some people ditch the starter. I always keep the starter in the party all the time. Except for when I played Pokemon Emeralds and, you know, did the whole Battle Frontier thing. Then I would cycle out specific teams. I'd be like, okay, let's train a lot of Pokemon and work from there. It's like I did use the starter in the Fearless Challenge, at least one of them at least. But you know, that's because that is as closest to competitive as I ever got in those games, that's for sure. Because the Battle Frontier is absolute hell. But yeah, I don't really care much for, you know, all the stat stuff, you know. It's like, oh, we'll just, you know, hatch eggs, battle specific Pokemon, hatch eggs, and like, discard it like it's worthless basically, because it hasn't got the right, you know, stats, it doesn't have the right nature or whatever. Fuck, that Pokemon is useless. It just feels wrong to me. I know it's just a video game, but it just kind of feels harsh. It's like, you know, I don't know, it's not quite like those stupid freaking Pokemon scalpers, you know, that's just like buying up all this shit and basically just like, I don't know. It feels like there's a lot of discarding looking for the best, whereas I'm like, I don't care about the best. I just want whatever just happens to come naturally at the time. So we got the cat starter, that's staying in the team. Talonflame just kind of, we caught it in its first form, and I've kept it around since. I could switch it out for a better one, but I'm like, they've become an integral part of the team. And it's like I haven't used Taurus in a while, but I still keep them on the team. It's like the team formed. It's not the most efficient team, but god damn it, it's my team that formed over the course of this game. And just discarding it for the stats, it's just not my style. Unless we hit a major roadblock, then I'll have to think about changing up things. In other words, next move that a Pokemon uses will deal triple damage. Type matchups, critical hit damage, and other factors all play into these calculations as well. So even a small boost will be taken seriously. That's ridiculous. By the way, if a stat simply rose, that means it has gone up by 1 stage. If it rose sharply, that's 2 stages. And if it's rose drastically, that's 3 stages. Just so you know, the X-Attack and X-Special Attack items, which can only be used in battle, can be used to sharply boost these respective stats that I never use ever. I'm just not really a stat boosting kind of guy. Oh my, is that the bell? I suppose that's all for now. Today's lesson was a little, so be sure to review what you've learned in order to stay sharp. I'll see you all again next class, where we shall be a sharper student. Oh wait, no, a sharper student. Sorry, I was hitting the wrong page. That's an A sharp. Also, could be a B flat major chord, depending on what key you're playing. I usually mostly see it as a B flat, because that chord's in the key of F major. Now for that. History. Hey, put the guitar down, damn it. Greetings, my little students. Whatever you did yesterday, it is now a part of history. And what I just said is now a part of history, technically too, because that applies. Let's hope to continue unraveling the marvels that history has presented us today. However, I imagine your ability to concentrate has been spectacularly derailed by my midterm. I suppose shooting things up for fun and variety may be a good idea. So allow me to tell you an old fairy tale that has been passed down in power the upper generations. For at least 9 generations, to be exact. Once upon a time, there was a king who very much enjoyed collecting treasure. He was particularly fond of treasures from other countries. That's why he invaded them all. One day, a merchant from the east heard rumors of this king and came to meet him. The merchant laid out 4 treasures in front of the treasure of the king. 4 treasures were as follows: a vessel, a sword, a set of tablets, and a set of beads. Why would it even be breads? Not bread. Breads. That doesn't make sense. Of course it's beads. They were very unusual beads. They were all kind of clung together, and what he described that are useful is something we cannot discuss in this class. Seeing such rarities before him, the king leaped for joy. He showered the merchant with gold coins and claimed all 4 of the treasures for himself. But it was all a charade. Aha, perfect time to make eye contact, youngin. Answer me this. I said that one of the treasures was a set of tablets. What do you think these tablets were? Handheld electronic devices. Medicine that you chew. I'd presume it'd be wooden planks. Handheld electronic device would not make sense. Why would it be medicine? There's gotta be planks, right? Correct, your daily pursuit of knowledge serves you well. These particular tablets were wooden and used as a writing medium in the Eastern ancient times. As you may know, they fell out of favor. Their popular use as paper became more universally available. You know, you visit cemeteries, graves and stuff like that a lot with the family tree stuff. And it is insane the state some graves get into. It's like, about a year ago, we came across a grave that was an aunt of my father's mother. And the grave was, you know, kind of run down and all that. But the writing was fairly legible. Went there the other day, again while looking for other graves. Found the grave again, I was like, the writing's even more faded. It's only been like a year, how does it get into that state? It's crazy. It's crazy enough that some of these graves are even lasted as long as they have. There's one grave that's dated to like the late 1700s. And sure, the writing is still faded, but if you get the right angle of it with, you know, a picture, and, you know, the lighting is good enough, you can just about read what it says. It's mostly in Welsh, but, you know, it's basically the old, you know, this person name died on this date of this parish, and so on and so forth, and then another person listed under that, and then 12 people listed under that, and so on. With the earliest date into the late 1700s and then mid 1800s. It's insane that's still at all legible. Because, you know, writing on stone, really, it does hold up for quite a while, but then there's some graves that come across where, like, from the freaking 60s, and they're still, like, so far faded you can't read it. I need to get ones from as far as the 1700s, and it's still just about readable. Maybe it's down to the craftsmanship, I don't know. For the king to consider these paper substitutes treasures, they must have been of superb quality. That, or perhaps they had some amazingly profound teachings with them. Or perhaps he was more interested in what was drawn. So the king obtained these 4 treasures, and on that very night, it is said that a terrible disaster rained down upon his castle, reducing it to rubble by dawn. Guess he got greedy. Oh, it's at the time already. I wasn't done with my story, but alas, so ends today's lesson. You know what? This is what really happened, right? He took those treasures from that merchant. That merchant stole those tablets. It wasn't just any old tablets, those were slabs. And then the king was visited that night by a visitor calling out from outside saying, "Return the slab, or suffer my curse." And he was like, "What? They don't want any." And he ignored him, so all hell broke loose. The end. If you're interested in how the story ends, you may come see me outside class hours. I guess we're going to be talking to her about that. Languages. Nobody attends these classes. You know why I say that? Because nobody bloody watches these videos. The previous part has one view, but that wasn't his last. Actually, when was the last part of this Let's Play where I was actually one of the classes? Let's see. Okay, there's one view during the midterm, so maybe at least one person's attending these classes with us on this Let's Play here. Maybe there's one viewer, one singular view. What even counts as a view anyway? It's like if you click on a video and it plays for a few seconds, does that count as a view? Or does it only count as a view if like the whole video is watched? Because I've noticed on the dashboard view, it shows like average watch time on videos, and it could literally just be seconds for maybe a minute or so, and it's like, does that count as a view? If that's the case, has anyone even watched any of my videos all the way through? I don't know. I ain't bound to, but you know, I've had over 5,000 videos at this point, you know, so there are probably some of them that probably haven't been fully watched, possibly. I mean, not like, you know, the case of someone that hasn't watched every single video, because I don't think that's even possible at this point, unless you've been there from the start. But what I mean is, you know, for each video to individually have been watched from start to end by someone, somewhere, somewhere. Anyways, how did you like the midterm exam? You all did really good. We're halfway there now, time for another lesson. It was saw you already. I went to a place called St. Fagans the other day. It is a kind of historic place here in Wales. I hadn't been there since I was a kid. And I was just like, my brother was like, let's go there. It's like, okay, right on. And while we were there, there must have been like some kind of school trip going on, because everyone there spoke French. And all I could think about, well, it's not that all I could think about, but I kept thinking back a few times to this guy right here. It's like, teach me some more French phrases, teacher. I was on the spot, and it was just like, didn't talk to anyone. Just talking to my brother, just like, I suck at French. And then I was like, très bien. I remember Mitsu into some phrase, and I was like, what does it mean again? I was like, oh, I think that means like good job or something like that. Good work. There's like, I know nothing of the French language, so Mr. Salvatore, teach me. Teach me curse words in oui French. Très bien response, great answer. Merci, my friends, I knew I could count on you stars. That means you're gonna be hunted down by Nazis. Leading up to the midterm, we learned all sorts of words from different regions. You have since forgotten the majority of this information, as is tradition. Starting today, though, I'll be throwing a curveball before we begin listening comprehension. Thus, you go for it, my assistant Pikachu. They couldn't afford to get Pikachu's voice actress. As you just heard, Pokemon can also use words to communicate. It's usually just their own names, but you know, in the games they don't really do that. That was more of an anime invention, and it occasionally does cross over to the games, but usually not the main games. They just have these weird sounds they make. It's not always easy for us to understand them, but their words have meaning, just as ours. I mean, they're just cries, they're not even words. Pokemon can use language to share all kinds of information with each other, like the location of food, or well, there may be predators nearby. The same Pokemon's cries may sound different depending on what it wants to say. Oh god, can you imagine that? It's like, okay, so we had this teacher in one of the games mention different cries for different things. So, back to the drawing board, everyone. Back to the drawing board. I mean, everyone, you know, whoever is in charge of sound design. You gotta give every single Pokemon at least a bare minimum of 3 or 4 unique cries. And they're like, fuck. We're still doing the thing where we don't have the full Pokédex, like all Pokemon in one game. Right? It's like, yeah, thank fuck for that. I mean, how many bloody Pokemon are there now? Have we reached the 1,000 mark yet? Because Jesus Christ, man. I can see why they never have a game where they're all in the game. Because it's gotten so obscenely big with how many Pokemon there are now. But my god, can you imagine a national dex in a modern game now? That would be a hell of an undertaking. And the worst thing about that is you wouldn't be able to obtain all the Pokemon because they'd have stupid event shit. Like for different games, different regions and shit like that, time exclusive bollocks. But you also gotta take into account that's not just for like newer ones they add in. That's for like the older ones too. It's like, oh, you want Mew? Well, good luck on that, pal. You're not gonna be able to get 151 Pokemon. It was Mew number 151. It's kind of weird, you know, that Mew comes after Mewtwo. Should be the other way around. But you know, Mew wasn't really obtainable in the OG games outside of an event. Despite all those, you know, legendary rumors. You know, it's behind the van or whatever it was. It's like, no, it's not. Now, if they'd said something like that to me back in the day, like in the Gen 3 remix about Articuno, I would have been like, was it really there? Because for whatever reason, I just never was able to find Articuno till like years after. I was able to find Moltres and Zapdos, but I couldn't find Articuno. I just didn't freaking find that specific location. And it bugged me for a long time. Anyways, I'm sure you're all curious. So, how do you all hear today? That is, let's learn some Pokemon language. Pikachu, give us your best slur. Jittenbre, if you would, be so kind, Pikachu. Bollocks! He is saying bad words. He's like pigger. It's like, you're a pig. What emotion do you suppose Pikachu was trying to convey? Say it again, Pikachu. Happiness, maybe? Sorry, that's not right. Pokemon language is hard, isn't it? And Pikachu says, Pigga! It's using its angry voice. Well, it should show its expression a bit more. Jeez. That's right, I had my little Pikachu friend here pretend to be angry for us. Well, it certainly doesn't look angry. It's not doing a good job. Don't you think he did a great job? Give Pikachu a round of applause, everyone. Your acting is terrible, Pikachu. Encore, encore. The same Pokemon can even communicate its feelings in many different ways. Their voices change depending on their mood and physical condition. Try listening more carefully to Pokemon. You might gain a deeper understanding of them. That having been said, Pokemon are quite mysterious creatures. Some actually don't communicate with words at all, but instead use things like electromagnetic or ultrasonic waves. Some even use telepathy to call you a wanker. And now, I promise of nothing, let me give you all one of my wise words of advice. If you poke at your Pokemon too many times while watching them during picnics, they'll get mad if you like Pikachu just demonstrate this. Well, we've never reached that point yet. I can't remember if they did that in Pokemon Sun and Moon when you interact with them. I think they can get annoyed at you as well. Well, adios, matane, we'll see you later. I must speak in multiple languages at once because that's my cool shtick. Next question. Can Pokemon be racist? Not like racist as in they look like some kind of racist caricature or something, but like actual racist. Like this Gengar over here saying a racist slur to a Pikachu or something. How would that work? Maybe that Pikachu was using a racial slur, we just don't know the Pikachu language very well. It's like he did say the Pikachu was angry. Hello class, it is I, Hassel, yet again. I am pleased to say that everyone did very well on the midterm exams, in which we did no art whatsoever. As a reward for all of your hard work, we have a special guest visitor today. Now then, Brassy, please come in. Greetings. Oh, it's the guy from the gym. Artisan. It makes sense for him to be here then. He's the art guy. I am Brassius. I am an artist and I focus exclusively on grass-type Pokemon for my work. Brassius here mainly creates three-dimensional pieces, just statues and the like. One of his major works is the installation titled Surrendering Sunflower, found in art. Many of you who've challenged the Artisan Gym are no doubt familiar with these sculptures. And the crazy challenge where you go around collecting sunflower. Yes, I do recognize some faces among your students. I hope you all understand how fortunate you are to be able to attend Hass's classes. Old Hass is the man who saved me when I had lost all hope and given up on myself. But he never gave up on me. I do not exaggerate when I say that he is my mentor in life. And he's told me as well. It's precisely thanks to Hass that I was able to establish my current art style. Ah, dear Brassy, I have nothing against reminiscing about old times, but we seem to be having the same voice. But today, I hope you will guide this class in a way only you can. Of course, with the same voice as you, because for whatever reason, I've not given you a unique voice. I can't even remember what type of voice I even gave you to begin with. Let's see, well, why don't we discuss what Haas mentioned? Surrendering is unfair. Can anybody here tell what my mood was when I crafted its detached expression? Detached. Wow, detached would kind of imply sad, right? No. No, completely and utterly wrong. When I made that sculpture, I had surrendered all hope. I was prepared to give up everything. So was anger. I had resolved to give up my life as an artist. That beast did not receive proper recognition, and by your answer, it clearly did not. Hence the name Surrendering Sunflower. Ah, that smile. That's exactly it, Haas. Ha ha ha, look at my face. When I started out as an artist, I experienced many hardships. I even became deathly ill and fell into a slump that drove me to desperation. So, it's like, it's a mix of it, really. It's, you know, sadness and anger. But I was wrong because I didn't pick it. It's all about anger today. That PQ was angry, you were angry, everyone's angry. I'm angry too. I'm pissed that my freaking laptop is, like, basically falling apart. I began worrying about what would sell. I was concerned only with fame and fortune and lost my way. But all of my pieces during this time had no depth. They were all shallow trash. It was then that I met Haas. He helped me realize how petty I was being. I'll spare you the details. But we had passionate lovemaking going on. But in the end, I was able to leave all that behind. Yes. And that is also when I crafted the sunflower. Remarkably, even I did not know the full story until now. This kind of thing is hard to tell someone, especially when you are close to them. They are close to you. So very close at one time. Now, I don't doubt that you, as adolescents, will often find your heads crowded with worries. Meanwhile, someone in the class like, actually, I'm 42. It's like, and adults, I suppose. My advice to you is simple. Be honest with yourself and do whatever your heart desires. So long as you don't cause trouble, that is. Isn't that how life should be? That is all for me. I must admit I am beginning to feel a bit embarrassed, so I bid you farewell, House. And farewell to your peoples as well. That ass. That's why he's thinking as he left there. That's why he was smiling. Oh, Brassy, I can't believe it. Such a wonderful class. Thank you. Such a wonderful house. It is a piece of art. Thank you so much! That was weird. The one art class I failed at. Because I got the question wrong. I didn't realize he was talking about anger. One more for the road and then, you know, we'll go battle Cassiopeia. Well, actually we won't. We'll be looking for all the teachers to see if they got any new dialogue. And then we will battle Cassiopeia. Put away your phones. It is time to begin class. Why do we even bring our phones here? We're not even allowed to use them inside. Though some of you had to retake the midterm exam multiple times, I am glad to say that the majority of the class passed without using. And are you noticing a pattern? I probably sound similar to that asshole bloke. It's like, you don't really have a lot of variety with this voice, do we? I feel honored to see that knowledge and skills indispensable for daily life have taken root in all of you. I trust that you will all work just as hard on your life skills in the second half of our course as well. Let's now turn our attention to the topic of the day, which was inspired by a question I received on the subject of real powers. The student who asked this question is a young man who enjoys the culinary arts. I see him in the front row there, it's obvious. He tells me that he regularly researches culinary techniques on his own and pays careful attention to the ingredients he uses. He also spends day and night studying all aspects of the culinary arts. Yet despite this, he is baffled by his inability to reach the effectiveness of his new powers. To be fair, that's the same for us. We only ever get 3 stars. How can we improve this? So tell me, Miss Emily May, since you did quite well on your midterm exam, What should this young man do to increase the effectiveness of his meal powers? Arvin? Like, oh, that's an answer. It's like, wait, that's Arvin, isn't it? Arvin's right there, right in front of us. Arvin? Like, how does that even work? Is there like a multiplayer situation where you can do that? Link up your switches and make a sandwich. So my guess would be the first one, but you never know, this might be a curveball where it's actually this one. You make food more often, you have better practice. Culinary arts are not so easily grasped. Simply engaging in them more often will not necessarily reward you with success. You tell me there's a multiplayer bullshit to this? I can't do that, man. So you tell me my sandwiches are meant to be mid forever because I don't have anyone else in this game that I can connect. To increase the effectiveness of meal powers, your sandwiches must be filled with many different ingredients. For a single person this may prove difficult, but if you prepare a sandwich for others, you will be able to handle a larger serving of bread. We will not tell you how this whole system works, because, you need to actually have someone else that can actually do that. You need another player, which you don't have. And even if you didn't have the other player, you could probably do it online, but you have to have an account for that. And the account is also, you've got to have a subscription. You got to pay to play. It's like those free-to-play games. They say they're free-to-play, but they're really free-to-play to an extent. You gotta pay eventually. That's what they want you to do. It's not gonna fund itself. But these games have already charged you out your ass just to bloody play the bloody thing to begin with. Decide they're gonna charge a bit extra on the side. Because greed rules the world, I'm afraid. And there's not a damn thing you can do about it. God, I hate that about modern gaming. With a large base to start with, it becomes quite simple to add more ingredients to your sandwich, which in turn makes it possible to receive meal powers and increase effectiveness. So I'll just be 3 stars forever, basically. This applies more broadly as well. When dealing with a difficult issue, working with others to solve that issue may be the best course of action. And it's like, way to discourage freaking making sandwiches in this game. You had this feature, and that's like, if he'd said, the more you use it, the better it becomes, I would have freaking made sandwiches more. But now that you tell me that, I'm like, fuck sandwiches, you fucking need them. They're useless. It's like, way to go, Game Freak, that's wonderful. It's like, you're trying to bring people together and all that, but, that thing about that is, you gotta have people together that have the same game, the same console, or have a fucking subscription, which I don't have any of those. So, fuck your sandwiches. That ain't mayonnaise on that sandwich. And that freaking, yellow substance, it is totally what you think it is. Yes, the squash lemons. I'm sure that Arvin will likewise work with friends to craft his sandwiches in the future. Arvin, can we team up to make sandwiches? We got nobody else to work with. I heard the identity of the male student is a better price, so I would ask that you do not buy immediately. Our time together has come to an end for today. I bid you all farewell. It's like, can we find Arvin out in the world somewhere and be like, hey Arvin, can we make sandwiches? I want to make the best sandwiches, but I can't. I got nobody to make sandwiches. It's bullshit.